getting cleaned up and proper ownership of them.
Mm-hmm. Anything further? All in favor of the resolution? Carried. And finance, 9/10/1, September finance update. Renee?
This memo is intended to provide council with an update on the year-to-date variances for the operating capital budget. As you can see in the report, I have reiterated the update that came in September for year-to-date August, which we're highlighting revenues trending higher in planning and development mostly, and then the expenses trending a bit higher in relation to public work expenses due to fuel costs and increase in those types of expenditures. So an update above that is regarding the funding for the storm. In this report, I'm assuming that we don't receive the funding. So the report is written that, or provided that the expenses to date of $134,000 for storm cleanup are completely funded through township funds within this operating budget. With that said, when you look at the projections, if we're successful with the grant, which we expect to receive in the next bit, there would be an additional, I guess, net operating surplus of $108,000. This would bring the value, I believe it's just, right now we're projecting 108 already, so that'd be 216,000 surplus at the end of the year. And then in the capital side, I've provided updates relating to the projects and outcomes. So I'll go back a bit to the actual attachment. So on the year-to-date operating for revenues, you could see that we have received most of our revenues. This is normal for operations here because we are funded mostly with taxation. So we will be, I'm projecting a total revenue of the 5.6 million, which is on par to the full budget for the year. And then as for expenditures, although we are projecting a higher than expected cost for public works due to the fuel, the bottom line for the operating is still within budget at 4.7 million. And then when you take into account the debt payments, extraordinary items, and contributions, our expenses are still slightly less. This is mainly due to the debenture that we debentured this summer. The payments don't start until January of 2023. They would have been budgeted to be one debt payment this year. So with that said, it moves it to 2023, which has left us more, I guess, spending room. This is why we're not really feeling the impacts of the fuel and whatnot for $100,000 because of the difference. So the debenture that starts debt payments into January helps us fund the increase due to inflation for 2022.
Questions of council? I got a couple on the planning revenue. Is that pretty well from building permits?
Yes, so they're building permit related, and then the planning side of things also. So we have increased.
Severance or whatever.
Yeah, so we had a higher year in 2021 in revenues. We didn't want to, we were conservative with the revenues budgeted for 2022 and met partial ways. This is why it would seem that it's higher than budgeted for revenues that side.
And you may have explained it, but I might have missed it, the extraordinary item. So we had budgeted 245 and it said 139. Can you explain that again?
Yeah, so this is directly related to, pull it up, but projects. For example, if we would have received, we had in there the election, for example, for $25,000. Therefore, if we've only spent a portion of it, in which we are planning on fully spending the budget.
In the revenue side though?
Both sides. So what would happen is it's funded through a transfer from reserve.
Oh, okay.
We would transfer from reserve less to fund for the project. So these are all based off of actual expenditures. In there, you would have the modernization funding also for the studies. So if the studies came in at less, then the funds aren't funding it and the expenses aren't coming in.
And then we see the reduction in extraordinary items on the other side, or should.
That's correct. The only reason it would look higher on extraordinary items is because you have the storm for 2022 included in there for 134,000.
And is your feeling that the storm dollars, there's a high percentage of chance that we will be being paid for that?
Yes. I received last week an email confirming that it's under full review now. Therefore, I anticipate a response soon. I'm assuming that we will receive the funding, remaining conservative on variance reporting, assuming that we don't. But yes.
And last question is, where we had budgeted debenture payments and the debenture was taken out later, so they didn't start. If there is money at the end of the year, would you set that aside for future debenture payments?
Yes. Yes, when we debentured this year, the interest rate compared to the year when we were passing the budget had doubled. And therefore, on the operating side, the projection for interest payment is now high, like double than what I had budgeted or projected for the future years. Therefore, it would make sense to put the funds aside for this.
And when you say doubled, we had a extremely good rate before, like what did it go?
We had assumed a rate of 2%, and I believe we closed in at 4.45%.
Okay, thank you. And that's just for the one debenture of this year, the other ones remained. Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Have other municipalities applied for grants for storm relief in the area?
Yeah,
So in Renfrew County, we're the only township that was affected, but I am aware of some of our neighbors, so Addington Highlands, North Frontenac, that if they were considering, and I believe Addington Highlands have, because they were extremely hit.
Thank you. 9-10-2 Christmas hours.
Yes, so Christmas already, so Christmas in October. So this is just a memo to council as to the Christmas hours, so that we can communicate this to staff, the public, so that there's sufficient time to get this out. This is in line with what has occurred in the past. If there is a need, there's a day or two that staff will need to use vacation time. If they so choose, they can work with their managers. If they don't want to use vacation time to come to work during this time.
And this is similar to last year.
This is similar to last year.
Questions of council? Councillor McPherson.
Could we just get the wording clarified on that? Instead of saying until Tuesday, January 3rd, could we not say resuming Tuesday, January 3rd? Because when I first read that, I thought, is it, are we open on the 3rd or not?
So, and that will be, this is not what we will publish as a notice on our website, so that will be abundantly clear.
Right, perfect.
I just wonder on this, the transfer station hours, like Christmas Eve to be open till 6 o'clock and New Year's Eve to be open till 6 o'clock, if that's absolutely necessary, because it is pretty tough on those workers.
I can follow up with the facilities manager to see, we may have to, with our certificate of approval, to see we may have to actually do this, but we can ask if they could be reduced hours.
Yeah, and we'd have to obviously give good notifications, but on Christmas Eve, I can't see people going to the transfer stations at dinner time.
Isn't that the last thing you'd be doing before you settle for the night?
Okay, so.
I will follow up and we will advertise accordingly.
Okay, thank you. 9-10-3 strategic communication plan. Moved by Councillor Perrier, second by Councillor Rigglehoff. Be it resolved, the council approves the strategic communication plan as presented and furthermore instructs managers to share the plan with their staff. So this was presented to us previously and it's here now for approval. So I don't think we need it explained again, but is there any questions of council on it? Okay, so all in favor of the plan, resolution? Thank you. Carried. Economic development, community health, parks, nothing tonight. Moved by Councillor Perrier, seconded by Councillor Rigglehoff. Be it resolved that the following minutes are approved by council: the September 19th, 2022 public hearing meeting and September 19th, 2022 regular council meeting. All in favor? Carried. And I have a couple items. Okay, first of all, in response to many inquiries both the CAO and myself have had over the last few weeks, I'm presenting some facts to provide clarity on items of concern to residents of the township. Senior housing. Staff have researched and confirmed that there were not any grants or donations received from OPG for senior housing in the last 13 years. Doctor recruitment. The Township of Greater Madawaska is a member of the Renfrew Area Health Services Village, along with Renfrew, Admaston Bromley, Horton, Renfrew, Admaston Bromley, and Horton. Each municipality contributes money annually to this group to be used for doctor recruitment as well as some administrative fees. The Renfrew and Area Health Services Village Board consists of the mayors of these 4 municipalities, along with a member of Renfrew Victoria Hospital and members of the public. Renfrew Area Health Services Village, in cooperation with RVH, has been successful in attracting and compensating 14 doctors over the last 12 years. All 14 doctors have established their practices either in Renfrew or Greater Madawaska. Calabogie Medical Center. Staff have confirmed that three doctors work out of Calabogie Medical Center. Each doctor works 2 days per week out of this center. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. Griffith Rink. Griffith Rink has been revitalized this year, and the rink is brand new. New lighting with a timer was added, enabling people to enjoy the facility when the building is not opened. Benches were added to create a spot to put skates on if the building is not open, and the entrance to the building was enhanced. The updates were completed using grant funds. Building permits. Neither council nor county are involved in any way in the building permit process. As per the building code 1.16D and 1.17D, both chief building officials and building inspectors are to exercise powers and perform duties in an independent manner and in accordance with the standards established by the applicable code of conduct. Council attendance. While making decisions with a 3-person council, which does constitute a quorum, is perfectly legal, this has seldom been the practice. Since December 2018, there has been 97 council meetings during the 4 years, and there are only 2 times where there were 3 members of council participating. During COVID, it was not uncommon for elected officials to participate remotely in a meeting. Transfer stations, dumps. Norway Lake and Griffith sites are solely transfer stations and receiving areas for brush and yard waste. Construction waste received at these sites is deposited in bins and shipped to township dumps, those being Mount St. Patrick Dacre or Black Donald. Transfer sites usually look quite good as construction waste is not stored at them. Mount St. Patrick Dacre is a transfer station and also a dump. A dump will never look attractive, and sometimes it may look terrible. All household garbage arriving at this site is put in bins and transferred similar to Norway Lake and Griffith, completely eliminating bear problems that we had many years ago. Having dump sites within the township allows us to collect construction materials, grind them up, usually in the fall, and use this material as ground cover for the site. Having a dump within our township, and like I said before, we have two, Mount St. Patrick Dacre and the Black Donald one, which both we're trying to expand, allows us to handle approximately 3,000 ton of construction material annually. If we did not have dump sites and were to ship this material at the rate we're paying today for garbage, it would cost us $109 a ton and $33 a ton to ship it, for a total cost of $426,000 annually. This would have a dramatic effect on our budget, so we're quite fortunate to have the two areas that we have. And lastly is my address, because this is the last council meeting in our term. So this being the last council meeting, I want to thank council and staff for their dedication and commitment to the corporation of the Township of Greater Madawaska. As a group, we were tested. This term of council started off with a major flood in the spring of 2019. COVID started in the spring of 2020 and is still around somewhat today. And finally, we were hit with the Derecho in the spring of 2022. These items tested our resolve, but showed the character within all involved. I congratulate council, staff, but in particular, the Emergency Management Committee for how they handled these challenges while still carrying on the day-to-day business of the municipality. Like every new council, this council started out to achieve many great things. Council followed the commitment of the previous council to improve roads, update equipment and facilities. I am very pleased to say that great strides were made in the achievement of these goals. Some of the larger capital road projects completed were Barrett Chute Road. It was a $1.3 million contract, and we received a grant of $1.1 million. Madawaska Road was partially completed, and that was at a cost of $650,000. Ferguson Lake Road, the project initial budget was $4.9 million, and we were successful in getting an ICIP grant of $4.6 million. And this road was done from one end to the other, a total distance of 8 kilometers. With this progress made during the last 4 years, there are only 2 primary roads, being Madawaska and Flat Road, that need to be reconstructed. Hopefully, these roads will be completed in the next year or 2. Having these primary roads completed will enable future councils to utilize funds for secondary roads and other programs such as recreation. Facilities. Eagles Nest parking lot. The creation of the parking lot was a collaboration of efforts by the Algonquins of Ontario, County of Renfrew, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and the Township of Greater Madawaska. And with that many players involved, obviously, it wasn't real fast to get it done. The parking lot was created to improve safety of residents, visitors, and hikers. The parking lot was built utilizing a grant fund and was not at the expense of the ratepayers. Funds collected at the parking lot are to be reinvested into the parking lot and trail maintenance. Griffith Rink, as I mentioned before, Griffith Rink has been revitalized and now provides an excellent recreation facility for this area. The upgrades were completed using grant funds. Calabogie Salt and sand and salt shed and a storage shed. A new 6,000 square foot sand shed has been built in the Calabogie area, creating a safe and environmentally friendly workplace for staff. And also a 1,500 square foot storage shed that was badly needed was added to the facility at the Calabogie Yard. Francis Street building. The lower level of Francis Street was retrofitted to accommodate the food bank, post office, a dental hygiene business, and to retain the home support office. We were in danger of losing the post office in Calabogie, and also the food bank was in need of a new home. Fire department. The fire department has added 2 new rescue vehicles and new extrication equipment to the department's assets. The department also completed a very successful recruit drive, and it has added more people to its roster. Internet and cell. The fight for improved internet and cell coverage has been a long and tedious battle, but the end is finally in sight. Greater Madawaska, the County of Renfrew, Eastern Ontario Regional Network, and the Warden's Caucus has been relentless in the pursuit of this project. Rogers was awarded a contract to bring cell coverage to most of Greater Madawaska, and by most, we project that to be in the 95% range. 8 towers are planned, 6 are new Rogers towers, and 2 will be using existing Bell towers. Bell has been awarded a contract to bring internet to most of Greater Madawaska, and once again, that's to be in the 90% quartile. Both cell and internet projects are contracted and are slated to be completed by the end of 2025. In the meantime, Starlink has provided service to some of our areas, and Starlink internet has been installed at the DACA Center, the Griffith Lions Hall, and the Madawaska Hall to provide accessibilities for those without internet in the area. Internet at these locations will also be invaluable as the halls serve as emergency locations when disasters strike. Council chambers. Council chambers was retrofitted with cameras, microphones, and connectivity to allow all meetings to be recorded and viewed by the public at their leisure. This was a step forward in providing an open and transparent environment. It also allows for remote participation, as you can see tonight, in the meetings by delegates, council, and any other people as deemed appropriate. Capital investment over the last 4 years was $13.6 million. Of this, 11.1 million of the capital expenditures were fully paid for while maintaining modest tax increases. I congratulate staff on their success in obtaining so many grants that made this possible. New long-term debt accumulated for the 4-year period is $2.5 million. This means that less than 19% of all new capital was left unfinanced over this term of council. Council and staff are proud of this accomplishment. Studies and plans that have been completed over the last 4 years. A local efficiency group that was to look at service delivery review was led by Greater Madawaska, and it included our 6 neighboring municipalities. We had a municipal modernization study undertaken. We did a growth readiness plan. When I say we, that's mostly staff. Asset management plan was updated, and so the plan is in place for the next 10 years. A development charge review was conducted, and the new study was implemented this year. A new financial system is almost complete, with implementation slated for early in 2023. A pay equity review was conducted. A community safety and well-being plan that we approved in principle tonight was done. And the strategic communication plan that was approved as well tonight is complete. These studies will go far in providing a roadmap in the creation of an updated strategic plan. And that's it. It was a big 4 years in a time of turmoil. And once again, I thank all of council and staff and everyone involved. Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to be moving to closed session. Moved by Councillor Perrier, seconded by Councillor Rigelhoff. Be it resolved that the council meeting of October 17, 2022 at 6:19 p.m. enter into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting municipal or local boards, Smithson Lane, personal matters about an identifiable individual, CAO performance appraisal. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Moved by Councillor Perrier, seconded by Councillor Rigelhoff, that the council meeting of October 17, 2022 move back into open session at 6:35 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Perrier, seconded by Councillor Rigelhoff. Be it resolved, the council instructs the following as a result of the closed meeting regarding litigation, Smithson Lane, performance appraisal, CAO. Proceed as directed. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Perrier, seconded by Councillor Rigelhoff. Be it resolved that the following bylaws, 65-2022 acquisition and disposal of land, 66-2022 acquisition and assumption of land as a public highway, Wilson Farm Road, 67-2022 acquisition and assumption of land as public highway, Bridges, Halliday Creek, 68-2020 speed limits be deemed read a second and final time and passed by council. And furthermore, that 60-2022 confirmatory be deemed read a first, second, and final time passed by council at the regular council meeting held October 17, 2022. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Perrier, seconded by Councillor Rigelhoff. Be it resolved that the regular council meeting of October 17, 2022 be adjourned at 6:36 p.m.
right.
Oh, sorry.
Can you repeat that? I'd like to hear my name one more time.
No. All in favor? Carried.